Let's take you back, early 2000s, Melee tournaments have started popping up across the world. Some tournaments even getting up to hundreds of entrants. In the early days, things were a lot more unregulated, but as the meta began to evolve, people started wondering if there should be restrictions put on the game. In most fighting games, especially at the time, banning something would be an almost impossible task. The most you would hope to achieve is banning a character or technique in your friend group. Like when Talal won't stop spamming heat-seeking missiles as Zector in Mortal Kombat 3. However, due to Melee's immense customization and the rise of the internet around this time, banning, say, a stage for a competitive scene was somewhat possible. So a competitive stage list began to form. Stages of on-stage walls got banned due to infinite, stages where the stage itself could inflict damage got the axe, stages with walk-offs were banned due to camping on the side of the screen waiting for easy kills. Over time, this children's party game was developing a reputation of being a high-skill esport. The reason I'm talking about this is because I want to showcase that stage lists do matter in a competitive setting. Fast forward to 2020, Melee has developed the stage list consisting of 6 stages. The best Melee player in the world is a solo Jigglypuff main. Melee is still popular, but there's also this new game, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a game that brought back everything from all the previous Smash games, all the fighters and all the stages, plus new ones. So ideally, all the stages that were legal in all the previous games should be legal in this game too, right? So from 6 to
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8. Only 8? Okay, what happened? New to Ultimate was an optional feature titled Hazards Off, which was a response to the competitive scene wanting a toggle for certain stages, and also the casual scene over certain stage hazards being a bit too much, mainly this guy. On the surface, this is a great addition, and it is, giving the competitive scene great new stages to play around with, such as Kalos, and allowing Pokemon Stadium 2 to become the most neutral stage in the game instead of a somewhat controversial counterpick. But beneath the surface, these additions to the competitive scene came at a hefty cost. Fountain of Dreams, a stage that not only competitive players, but also casuals would call their favorite stage in Melee. Starting up, it looks like a Battlefield clone, but as the match progresses, the side platforms change elevations. The platforms change in a random-ish nature, forcing players to adapt and change playstyles as the match goes on. It's a mechanic that's the perfect mix of interesting enough to change up the gameplay while not being super in-your-face. In Ultimate, Fountain of Dreams returns, but in Hazards Off form, the platforms don't move, essentially turning it into just another version of Battlefield. Well, that shouldn't be a problem then, we just need to turn on hazards off for this stage, right? Well, Ultimate doesn't allow you to turn on hazards on and off from the stage select screen. You can only do it from the ruleset menu. This can cause unnecessary trouble. Let's say you go to Fountain of Dreams of Hazards On, the next game you forget to switch hazards back off and go to a stage such as, say, Kalos. It takes a bit of time to realize that the stage has hazards set on, and when you realize, what do? Do you continue the match? Do you both quit to the main menu and restart the match? Most Smash tournaments already go off schedule due to things like bracket backup and unaccounted for timeouts, and having a stage of hazards on would add to that problem big time. So most tournaments generally stick to all hazards off all the time. Plus I launched the stage at a frame rate issue which definitely gave it a bad reputation. Now some people might be asking, well if it's just like Battlefield and Battlefield is legal, then why isn't Fountain of Dreams legal? Well in tournaments you usually play in a best of 3 and have a thing called stage striking. When you win one game, the loser gets to choose the stage that you play on next, but the winner gets to strike 2 stages that your opponent can't pick. Let's say your character is bad on Battlefield, let's go with Banjo. Obviously you'd want to strike Battlefield and say another stage, let's say Smashville. But oh wait, if your opponent can't go to Battlefield, what's stopping them from just going to Fountain of Dreams? This puts characters in a predicament. Do you ban both Battlefield and Fountain of Dreams to cover your bases, using both strikes for essentially one stage, or do you not strike either, leaving a giant weak spot open? This is why most rule sets ban clone stages. This is also why Midgar and Dreamland 64 are banned in Ultimate. Yoshi's Story is another example of when hazards being removed is a bad thing. The cloud that the community dubbed the Randall got removed despite not being that big of an obstacle for players. The worst it would do would be a low platform for players and even save players from time to time, while still being a rare enough occurrence to not completely change how the game is played. Smashville's platform would move back and forth across the stage, leading to matches becoming tense. Also balloons. Now it starts moving but then stops in the center and never leaves that spot. The platform not moving also led to Yoshi's Island not to be confused with Yoshi's Story getting banned due to being too similar. But the difference of these two stages is that these are still legal, so what's left is less variety and what's left is less unique. Hazards off section seems to have rules, anything that moves is gone, but then why do platforms still move on Town and City, and these platforms could be considered far more interfering than anything on Fountain of Dreams, Yoshi's Story, or Smashville. I'm not complaining about Town and City though, I love this stage, but it's really weird where the game draws the line. What makes these moving platforms okay, and what makes these a felony offense? All of this could be fixed by using the shoulder buttons to be able to change between hazards on and off from the stage select screen, instead of being thrown into the bottom of the advanced settings menu. But sometimes the game goes in the opposite direction and doesn't remove things that should be removed in a hazards off stage. Castle Siege is a giant wall that blocks the view of the bottom right half of the stage, making edge guarding and recovering harder than usual. Great Plateau has a giant hat-shaped thing overhead that acts as a ceiling, but on hazards on you can break it, and there's a platform that forms there. Why isn't this on the hazards off version? I'd call this thing more of a hazard than the platform. Arena Furox has a perfect layout for competitive play, but this is actually one of 3 layouts that the game picks at random on hazards off, and with no selection option to choose which layout to play, the stage is essentially locked out. Yggdrasil's Altar would be a fantastic legal stage if it wasn't for the opening 10 seconds, where there's both walk-offs and a ridiculously low ceiling. They changed a lot about the stage past this point, but it's so weird that this isn't removed in the hazards off version. I'm not entirely sure what's happening behind the scenes of this opening on a technical level, but I don't imagine it could be too hard to start the stage after its left takeoff, or at least remove the walk-offs and fix the ceiling in the opening moments. It's saddening how such a great, unique stage is held back by such a tiny but nonetheless there detail. Okay, so we may have lost a few things here and there, but there's still plenty of stages that can provide fun, unique gameplay to the competitive scene. Right? Right? As we all know, the worst part about Smash is the Smash community. This is Unova Pokemon League, a stage that on the surface looks like Pokemon Stadium, but with different platform heights, blast zones, and walls. It makes for a great counterpick. Or at least it was. There's a slight slant right here where if you go under the stage and use a character with a teleport up B, such as Palutena in this case, you die. This is the reason the character got banned in most areas. A very small, very slight slant that only affects 4 characters out of the entire roster. This was called a glitch when it really isn't. If you up B along a slant, you will go up the slant. It just so happens that this slant sends you too far away from the ledge. However, it never occurred that you can just not go under the stage and solve this entire issue. If you get trapped down there, 9 out of 10 times you got outplayed. Even if you don't want to deal with the ledge, you can stage strike it. It's kind of the point of a counter pick, a stage where some characters have unique advantages and disadvantages. If your character has a problem on a certain stage, it's part of learning your character to strike that stage. But I guess some people just don't want to adapt during a situation when you're already playing a top tier character. This stage being banned was a stupid, rash decision, and it's a travesty that this probably won't be back to big tournaments anytime soon. This is just one example of a stage being banned over dumb reasons. Another example is WarioWare Inc., a stage that has really small blast zones. Ultimate is in need of smaller stages, and despite the stage having around the same blast zones as Yoshi's Story and Melee, it got the cut. One of the biggest complaints in the Ultimate scene is that there's too much camping. Some characters like Sonic run away for the entire match. Why not have a stage that makes camping nearly impossible? Mushroom Kingdom U and Mementos, these stages have the opposite problem of WarioWare, where they're too big. Although they would make great doubles stages, I couldn't find a single doubles tournament that has either of these stages on the stage list, or really a stage list in general. Wait, there isn't a set doubles stage list yet? Well, get on that and put these 2 on there. These are the perfect doubles stages. Woohoo Island and Skyloft, these stages allow for a technique called sharking where you go through the main platform. This was banned in Brawl because Meta Knight would just destroy everything like he often did. Meta Knight would just go under the stage and do 20 up airs before having to come back on stage. That is not an exaggeration. Sharking is a lot less viable in Ultimate and a lot more punishable. I feel like one of these stages should be legal, not both, but one would provide a unique enough change. Okay, now some of you are probably going crazy, thinking I'm spouting complete nonsense, and you may be partially right, but I feel like what all I said isn't too far-fetched considering Lilat is still a legal stage. His stage is atrocious. The fact that this is legal while so many other stages are banned for similar reasons is mind-boggling. Alright, I complained long enough, it's time for me to propose a solution. But before we start, I want to say that this works. I know I complained about the current stage list for this entire video, but it's not like it's broken or anything. It functions well, it's just not very exciting. I really hope that there's an update that allows us to switch between hazards on and off from the stage select screen. If I had to choose one thing to change about this game besides from the online, it would be that. But if that never happens, here's my stage list, one that I feel would bring enough variety to the meta while still being based on skill. I already pissed off at least half the population of this video, and might as well go all in. Starter stages: Battlefield, Final Destination, Pokemon Stadium 2, Smashville, and Town and City. No changes here from the usual. I feel like these stages work perfectly as the 5 starter stages, this can say as it is. Counter picks: Kalos, Unova, Yoshi's Story, WarioWare Inc., Skyloft, or Woohoo Island, one or the other in maybe Island? Kalos and Yoshi's Story say I have nothing against these stages, and Unova is legal again because it never should have been banned in the first place. WarioWare I feel is good enough to be a counter pick as there are too many big stages and not enough small stages, but I feel this is kind of a chaotic neutral pick. Skyloft or Woohoo Island. As I said before, I feel one of these stages should be legal, but not both. Both these stages have unique layouts, and sharking is not that overpowered. I can't really decide which one it should be, because I like both equally, but it definitely can't be both. And maybe Lilat? I don't really hate this stage as much as I made out to. I just find it crazy how this stage gets to be legal currently, while so many others don't. I'm not really sure whether to put it legal in this rule set. I'll just put it as a maybe. There we go, 9 or 10 stages with 4 stage strikes, but also doubles rule sets. All these stages minus WarioWare plus Mushroom Kingdom U and Mementos as counter picks. Please, I am begging you. Now there are stages that I have no idea what to do with, really. Wily Castle and Yoshi's Island. I guess I would be fine with these being legal. Yoshi's Island I feel has a bigger case for being legal, but I don't have a strong enough opinion either way to really decide. I guess just put these as honorable mentions. Alright, that's my rant. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now I'm gonna get back to playing my favorite turn-based RPG, Elite Smash.